All right, hey there, Sam, back with you here on Tuesday, May 22nd, mid-morning, and staying with our members' requests here. Next up, via the polling that we do every day, is EOS to the dollar. So I've got an 8-hour of EOS to the dollar here on Bitfinex. Now you can see off to the left here, I've got the full history of the coin on an 8-hour here. And looking now, so here, it's hard to call this anything other than a 3-4-5. Now, you know, where the 1-2 is maybe not as relevant as we sit here now over on this side of the chart, but there was some sort of 3-4-5 that went in here to suggest that we completed a one wave, and then we've had this very deep 2, and we may well be in the process of putting in a third up here. So relative to this larger degree here, we'd be looking for our third 1, 2, 3. We don't know where the 4 and any of that comes. We don't know where that tie. This is just all potential at the moment. But looking here now, we do get this very technical correction. So I think I've shown this before. You see that this spike down here this was unusual, but technical nonetheless. So if I'm just grabbing the lowest low I can find here. So if I take the beginning of it to my 3 high here, you can see we come down to the 786 to the tick. We get this reaction, then we come right to the 50 to the tick, and then a 2 and through, and we up we go, and we get beyond the first target, almost to the second target. So it's technical, despite how deep this goes. We get just almost a perfect tick on the 786 to the 50. So I've got this as an A, B, and then the very shallow C. Up we go, and that completes our first wave. So 5 waves completed. So what do? We would keep the same anchor down here, the lowest low, and then we'd look for a full retracement. Well, if I go all the way up here to this, now this gets interesting. So from my absolute low here to my proposed wave 1 high. Well, look how technical this is. So first thing we do, we scream down right to the 618. It was just a straight shot, 618. We get our reaction. It looks like we get a little ABC into this pivot here. So we get a truncated C here, but this first move up is in 5. Then we get our little 3 waves. So that gives us our A, B, C. We finish down here. So we'd have A, B, and then we finish down here at a C to give us a W. Thus, the WXYs, we connect 2 A, B, Cs down here. So you can see we're technical. And then, as you might suspect, so looking at the other side, if I take my swing high here and I go down to my swing low here, well, so here we get through the 65 here. They challenge the 786 for that A. The B comes in right to the golden zone. Then we rip down. We get 2 and through second. But it's also technical coming back the other way. So let me leave this and pull that off. So if we look at the relationship here from the proposed B wave here, if I get this hot. So from my B wave here down to the proposed A wave here. So then we come up to our X. We're just shy of the 50 here for the X wave. Down we go into an ABC, and looks like a slight front run on that target. So we get this confluence zone down here where you could make the case that you had a little hot box down here as a potential buy zone as this correction completed, and we can see the A, the B, and then we get 5 in the C to make for a very technical buy down here. Well, coming out of that, well, here, this is what's interesting. So down we go into this little zone down here. We get our 786. We've got our algo target, which you certainly could make the case that what you have now is a reaction. But look where we go. From swing low to swing high, down, we get deep here. Granted, we go to the algo target to the tick. I promise you that's not random. Now, I can't explain it to you. Right, remember, these algos, all we're trying to do is to identify them. I'm not proposing to you that I can tell you exactly where they are. I'm just telling you that if you can find them, you can track them, and they leave footprints. This is a footprint. So for whatever reason, they stayed swing low to swing high. And here's the reaction. So again, I can't tell you why, but for whatever reason, they stayed with that, and they got their target here all the way until we got there, and then the reaction confirms it. So again, I promise you that's not random. So they take profit. Here's the reaction. Well, now we're considering, well, we would certainly want to be considering the all the way halfway back because these pivots seem to be important. Well, what do? Swing low to swing high. Where do we come? To the 50, to the tick. Well, now you might look at that and think, wait a minute now, you're measuring from the start of this entire formation. I am, because clearly these pivots have technical significance. Let's put it that way. Well, now it's just thinking purely Elliott. If indeed I've got a 1-2 and this big rip up here, which would make sense, is my third, well, I'm certainly going to check the relationship between the 2 and the 3. So in other words, the entire retracement of the length of the third. So if I grab my tool here, I go down to my proposed second wave here. I go up to my proposed third wave here. What do we get? So look, this is what's called perfect confluence right there. So we have an almost to the tick overlap of the 618 and the 50. Now, if you don't buy that, I don't know why you're watching my videos. That's a must buy. Must buy. You've got perfect. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a guaranteed winner. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you're going to have discipline and consistency of approach, you simply have to buy that. What? If you're a student of mine, let me phrase it that way, and you see a 3-wave correction come down here and you get that kind of precision right there, where you have that much confluence, not to mention the Vegas wave here for support, you got to buy that. Again, I'm not saying that that's a winner. This could break down. We could be going lower. Nothing says that this couldn't break down here. So we've seen the market likes the 786. So nothing says that couldn't break down. We could go down to the 786 and not violate the wave 1 high, right? So to be consistent, we'd want to wick that off. So we could go down here and then look again. So again, trying to identify confluence, swing low to swing high. If we come down to that 786, we've got confluence yet again. So if so 2 ways to look at that and say, oh, well, there's the 618 of the absolute swing low to swing high. Well, is that confluence? Yeah, absolutely. We know those pivots were important because of what happened here. So if this rolls over, so 2 ways to trade that. So if this rolls over and you have the ability to absorb that drawdown from the buy here, this would be a second place to add, looking for that reaction to come out of there to take us up, to go into that. To get from there and head towards my 5th of my 3rd here in white. If that's a 3 and we're going to play Elliott ball, then even if that did move down here, that can move that far, we'd still not violate the wave 1 high. We'd have a very deep C wave. So the C could move down here. We still got a good clean Elliott count. Right, still in play. Look at this. We'd have this confluence up here, so we get a nice fat target up here that, at least from algo targets, as relates to this initial 1-2, that 3 target could be much higher. So nothing says we have to stop there. But if I got into that kind of a zone here, I had 2 algo targets up there. That's certainly a place to consider a partial profit. So one thought is you're a buyer here. You could be buying it right here, right now, with a stop under the 65. If you take the little jab there and it's going to come down, then you'd be looking to reload. Or you can be a buyer here, keep the size small, so that if we come down here and test all the way from swing low, swing high to the 618, a visit to the 786, as we know that for whatever reason this market seems to be responding there, that would be a place to add. So what's the risk reward look like? Well, if I split that difference, and so just for the sake of the discussion, all right, so if you're a buyer here and a buyer here, all I'm doing is splitting the differences. That would average out your fill. So we could go under the wave 1 high. Well, you'd have 5.6 to 1. That's too tight. You want it tighter than that? There's 8.8 to 1. You want to be just on the other side of the 65. Right, that's probably how I would trade it. I wouldn't give it too much beyond that 65, as we're reducing the probability of that being a 4 that can get up to that 5. Not that it couldn't happen, it hasn't happened. Just probabilities diminish. So why be giving that more room there? There's no need as the probability is diminishing. So I'd have a stop under the 65, but I would be a buyer. I am and have been a buyer right here at this 50. So I like this trade here. Like this, I'm a big EOS bull. So I think there's an opportunity to be a buyer here, anticipating that there might be a second add down here to average down price, but very tight stop on the second add, if you're going to play that way. Otherwise, stop under this 65. So we can look at it that way. So if you're a buyer here, stop under this 65. Well, now what do we get up here? Let's go to that first target. Well, there's 17.6 to 1. Right? Now, you want to be a buyer as you sit right now. Let's tighten that up. There's 12 to 1. So if I get this right on the price line, just under that 65. So what do we get here? Let's tighten it up. So there's 9 to 1, right? If you're a buyer right now, and I don't know where this will be when you're watching this video, but likely you're right in this pocket as we sit here between the 50 and the 618, depending on when you watch this. There's your opportunity right there, tight stop here. So that's not, again, it's just a jab, not an uppercut to the jaw. So you can take that. If you, again, nobody likes to get stopped out, but if you did get stopped out, that shouldn't be a death blow. Looking to reload. Right, you've got, again, same kind of thing you would do. You'd be looking for any signs of prior resistance to offer some support. So I can just look right here, our proposed X wave right here. So prior resistance potentially could play in here as potential support. So you've got some tells. Now, additionally, let's go down to the 1 hour and see how this C wave is breaking down. Get trading view here to cooperate. Get these lines backed up. It does this sometimes with volume profile as it extends. There we go. Okay, so looking here now, so I get my 5 waves down for my A. This looks like we get 5 here. So thus in the B wave, it looks like I've got A and then I've got A, B, and then I come in for a C right here. You see that? So I've got 5 coming in here of the A wave of my B wave. I come down. So A, I get 3 waves into my B, and then it looks like I've got another 3 into my B here. So thinking, now let's look at the other side. So coming back the other direction. So if I take it from my swing high to my A low. All right, do you see as I wiggle this here? So here's my second algo trade. So we're already 2 and through. So this trade here, this algo trade here that sold the 50 has realized profit right there. Okay, that's done. Now they've come down here and challenged. Well, of course they bumped into the 50, so you get this zone here where you got a second algo target. Look how many times they tapped that 50. So let's get that off. So once, twice, 3 times. Now if they come down and test it again, the more it's like a, think of it like a wall. It's the more times you bump into it, the weaker it gets, the more likely you are to break. So another retest down here would be a point of caution. Now, there's a possibility here as I look at this that we could have some sort of an ugly diagonal going in. So if I can get hot here. So potentially you've got a 1, 2. That's not a great looking 3, but it looks like you're it'll be very close. So again, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, just can't be the shortest. So you have potential here if that were to play as a 4 to carve out kind of an ugly diagonal to get this into a motive wave, to increase the probability that this zone now is likely to hold if we can get up here and get 5 out of this formation. It ain't pretty, but you've at least got the potential for it as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now looking down here, you do have, you can see it, you've got from here, you do get a 1, 2, it would appear that's 3, 4, and 5 to finish down here. Let me change that color. We'll go back to white. So you can see 3, 4, and then it was technical here from my 2 to my 3. All right, we front run on the 50, and then that algo target down here, right, you can see, well, let's see, do I have that right? Hang on if I can get this. Yeah, there's my algo target. So algo target unfulfilled from this front run here on this 4 of the 50. So, again, it's not, I can't look at that and go, oh man, great looking motive wave coming off that low. It's not, it's just sideways chop. We're kind of stuck between 250. So if you think of it this way, so here's the 50 on the upside, here's the 50 on the downside. So we're just kind of stuck. Let's put that in blue so you can make the case. So we're just kind of stuck between the 50, the sell 50 and the buy 50. We're just in that range, trying to get some degree, some formation here. If we can get a motive wave, then we can at least qualify it as a potential one wave to validate the idea that we've got a good technical pivot down here at this 50 that should be holding. So if I take that off, we'll see if that plays, and we're going to need to get some traction here. And it's certainly subject to recounting, because this all looks like, it's just sideways action, which is characteristic of a 4. So we don't know. So it's possible that the 4 is going in over here, and that this is a 3, 4, 5 of a different degree. So we could have one. So the 5 could be completed. So this could be 1, 2, 3. We're putting in the 4 before we have one more wave down. So it would look like this. So this could be 3. I'm going to take this off. So we have the potential for 3 in. So we guess we'd be like this: 3 A, B, C into a 4. So if I take this off, so it would look like this: 1, 2, 3 A, B, C into a 4. You got the potential now for this to come from that 38 down to this algo target here, which would put us smack dab in the middle of between the 50 and the 618. So that, like I'm saying, so since this is kind of an ugly diagonal here, if this is going to start to break, we're going to come down and challenge this 50 again. If it breaks, that would not be unreasonable to see them get to this algo target. So taking that off, if we look at this, if this is going to hold and we get that little push, so if we get this little push from here, so that this can stay looking this way. So if we get this 1, 2, 3, if this holds and we come up here and we get a 5, well, it ain't pretty, but you could make the case that you have a leading diagonal. Then of course the tell will be what happens in the correction. Do we come back down to the 5618? So we'd be coming from here. If we get that 5, we come down right into that zone, right where it's trading right now, and then go up here and get our 3, 4, and 5. Right? That would be what we'd be looking for. So ugly 1. Down for the 2, back to support, then we get the push into the 3, 4, 5. So that would be the ideal scenario for the bulls, on the assumption that the pivot is in at the 50. Again, if we break and we're heading lower, well, that sets us up to come down here into this range and then get the pop out of that. Right, so a couple of different scenarios there. Again, it's a great project. So if you're bullish on this project, it's not unreasonable to be putting a toe in the water here for a first buy. Again, I don't love this action here, but if we start to get some traction up here, the other alternative is wait to get that 5. So if we get this push up here to give us that 5th, that formation, so we know we've got a motive wave. If we get that, then wait for the first retracement, make that your buy. So that's the other way to play this. Let this confirm that I've got a motive wave here, ugly one, but a motive wave nonetheless. Wait for that first retracement to come back between the 50 and the 618. That's your onboarding, and then you take it up looking for the beginning now of this last leg. So relative to this larger degree in green, if that's 3 and we've got a pivot down here and we're going to start to go up, then we're looking for, whether this is the one wave of the, likely not. That would just be the one wave of the 5th, right? If we're going to go all the way up to some of those upper targets. So a lot of different ways that could play. I wish I could tell you it was cleaner and easier, but it's not, right? So right now we're just going sideways. So let the market, so again, more conservative play, let the market reveal itself. Where are we going? Where are we going? We know we've got buy pivot. We've got hot boxes here established as potential places to look to be a buyer. We know that it's very technical. No question algos are in here. We've seen that at these pivots, right? From the negative 23.6 here to the 50 double bottom here. Very technical. Try and figure out what they're doing and what they did last. Well, what they did last was they bought right here. And we'll see where it goes from there. All right, guys, just a reminder, if you want to learn more about this, you can always give us a visit over at our website at tradedevils.com. Well, we've got a private members Discord here that you can access on a monthly basis, one-on-one coaching, a lot of different ways that we can help you. So give us a visit. We've got a newsletter as well you can sign up for over at tradedevils.com. All right, guys, back to you later.